Hello and welcome to the Arsenal BiteSize Podcast. I'm your host Clayton at ClaytonAFC on Twitter, and I'm joined by my co-host at FPL Nima. How are you doing? Have you recovered from the disappointment of Wednesday away at Porto?
Yeah, it's quite sad, wasn't it? Yeah, return to the knockouts after so long, 7 years, I think, and wasn't what I was expecting. It was a bit of a real gut wrenching one, like right at the last second,
Yeah.
the way it happened. I'd say I'm recovered now. I'm ready for Newcastle. My nerves have moved on to this, so it's a good time to be seeing you. Hopefully, you can
Yeah.
reassure me I shouldn't be nervous for tomorrow, but
Well, yeah, we'll get into it. Obviously, I did a episode covering the Porto game in a bit more depth, and we're short on time today, so we won't talk too much about Porto. But for anyone that wants that kind of therapy vibe, like that cathartic feeling when you feel like you relate to what someone's talking about, potentially, yeah, go back and have a listen to that one if you want to get your Porto fix. But for the sake of this episode, we'll crack on and do the Newcastle preview because we're going to be there together. First game this season, other than the Lens one, obviously, but first
yeah,
Premier
it's
League game together, I
exciting.
think.
8 p.m. Saturday kickoff. I'm gonna
Yeah,
try get up there quite early in the afternoon if I
I
can,
am
and then
going to be absolutely fucking spangled because on the same day, so yeah, like you say, 8 p.m. kickoff in the UK, and I'm doing a pub crawl with my mates in the day. So
that's
I don't know
amazing.
what state you'll be seeing me in when I turn up at the game. But yeah, you're right in terms of like, well, you didn't really say a statement, but you kind of hinted at like, I'm hoping you can cheer me up, and I think it'll be
Yeah,
interesting
because
to
I'm
see.
quite
Like,
nervous. Yeah, I'm quite
okay,
nervous about
interesting.
the game. Just because I feel like the one thing that stood out to me, right, was that the last time I remember us like just not getting a sniff going forwards was at home to
Newcastle.
Newcastle
Yeah.
at the start of last year. Like I just remember that, and I remember there was something like the minutes the ball was in play, and it was very similar to the Porto game. So I'm like,
Yeah.
oh shit, is this
Well,
just like the UK version of Porto? Like fuck.
yeah, and it'll be interesting to see what team he picks because we've played the same lineup now. West Ham away, Burnley away, and then a few days after Burnley, we saw the same team on Wednesday away at Porto, which I was surprised by. So, where's your head at in terms of not what lineup you would go with, but what you think he'll do on Saturday against Newcastle?
So I feel like something will change. It has to. It
That's
has
what I
to.
think as well.
It has to. I just like I love playing the same team for like consistency and like rhythm, but I think he said it himself that there's like 5 or 6 players who've not really contributed yet, and like he's expecting a lot more to come from them this season. I assume that's a lot of the injured players, but
Yeah.
still, like
Well,
so,
on
I
that,
think we
he
need to
did
get others
say,
in.
I don't know if you've seen, but he's done his presser already, and he said Tomiyasu still needs a little bit more time. But on Party, let me just read word for word what he actually said. We have another session today, and obviously he's been out for many, many months now, and we would need to really nail the timing and when he has enough in the tank to compete. But I think he's very close. And he went on to say it's the same with Gabby Jesus as well. He's done a few things, and he also reported that Zinchenko is not far at all. So I don't know if that means these guys will be on the bench, perhaps, but I also said that about Wednesday.
Yeah, I've been waiting for them to. Part of me actually wonders, and I don't know if it's right in me to think this, but that he needs to wrap Jesus, Zinchenko, and Partey in cotton wool for 3 weeks and bring them out against Porto. I honestly feel
Uh,
like it's just not worth risking them at this stage because I just don't think they're robust. Like, I
yeah,
honestly feel that if they play in 3 weeks' time, they will not be fit to play again. Like, it just
yeah,
scares me. I almost feel like, has it been that maybe they've all been ready for a lot longer than he's letting on? And he's just using this as a guise because he knows he's going to need them and that we keep, disrupting our seasons the last 2 years where these same kind of injury prone players just disappear for the March, April,
yeah.
May period. Part of me
It's
feels like, are we just
interesting
trying to
'cause
hold them back? Like,
I
we always
see the
rush them
logic.
before, right?
Yeah, I do see the logic, but then in defense, I'm like, I feel like we could really do with being able to like freshen it up a little bit and like give Kivior a rest. So Zinchenko, Tomiyasu, if they were fit and available, that would be helpful. Because I'm with you, I think there'll be changes, but for the life of me, I can't figure out what. And when I think in terms of how the game will pan out, I think, like you said, Newcastle kind of set that template on how to play Arsenal last year, right? Park the bus, pack out the middle, force us wide, 2-3 v1s in terms of a defender to attacker ratio, and we struggled. And this is what I really, the more I think about it, in the context of the whole week, the more I think Arteta got the lineup wrong on Wednesday, because I think
Mm.
that was a Jorginho midfield, Havertz up top game. And do you remember, I actually said that in the preview, so it's not even
Yeah,
hype.
that was what you were
And
expecting, right? Like that was what you thought we would do, try to be a bit press resistant. Like,
yeah, and as a result, I think you then have Trossard a little bit more fresh for this game, um, where I think we're going to need a profile like him. In an ideal world, I'd love Jesus to be available for this game, but I don't think he'll go straight into the 11, and similar reasons to what you said. So I
yeah,
think
I think I'd like to see the Jorginho in the middle with Havertz up top.
for this
It
game,
then leaves, yeah, for this game, and I think it leaves the question of then does that mean Martinelli or Trossard start on the left
see,
because
this
one
is
of them would
where
have to drop out.
that's why I say I think he got it wrong, because I think that was more of a selection that would have worked Porto away more than Newcastle at home. Like, I
Mm.
don't think we need a Havertz up top profile in this game. I think it will work, but even Jorginho midfield. In an ideal world, I'd roll out the same team on Saturday
Like
evening.
just prove that like it was like a blip, a
Not
one-off.
even
They've all
proving.
watched
I
the
just think
videos and carry
it's
on.
in my head as simple as I think this team suits what we need against Newcastle, and it didn't suit what we needed at Porto away. So, do you know what?
Yeah,
Fuck
no,
it.
that's fair.
I'm going with my gut. I think he's going to go for the same
Same
team again,
11, fourth game in a
and
row.
just know
Yeah,
that there's
could
a
be.
nine-day rest to Sheffield United. Go with it and rely on substitutes if we're flagging. What about you?
Yeah, I think I just I just find it hard to believe something won't change. I feel like,
Yeah.
but knowing the players are not quite back yet as well, it's like who would even come in, right? Maybe the only change he makes to the 11 is if Zinchenko's ready, he comes in for Kivior and he leaves the rest as it is. I do wonder about that.
For what it's worth, what you said, I can actually see him doing the Jorginho and then Havertz up top thing. I think it's just more, it's just a frustration. I think like he just, if he does that, he's picked it for the wrong game.
It's like why not have done that away at Porto? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Do you
yeah, I know what
think
you
so?
mean.
You obviously touched on it. Is it something you see him doing?
I just I just feel like I didn't really see much from Trossard. So for me, it's more about like I feel like Trossard didn't do enough against Porto up top to have confidence in him doing it against Newcastle, even if it's at home. So part of me is then like, well, therefore that then naturally feels like, well, Havertz up there would maybe offer more than Trossard did in this specific game for me. And then
Sure.
that then leaves a space in midfield open, right? Hence Jorginho. But
Yeah.
it's as simple as that. So for me, it's actually because of Trossard.
Could
I
you
just
see
purely feel
us?
that he could do better off the bench or something. I
Sure.
don't know.
What game was it where it kind of threw us when Smith Rowe was included in the starting 11? Could you see something like that?
That was lovely to see him just randomly appearing in the
What game was that?
11.
I wonder, was that like Palace at home or something?
I think, yeah, it was a Premier League game.
It
It
was,
was like his
yeah.
first Premier League start in a few years. But what happened to him as well? Jesus Christ, where is he? It's like,
I'm sure he was he not on the bench on Wednesday?
was he?
I'm
Oh
sure
God,
he was.
these guys, like, I honestly, like, he wasn't in one of the
Nah,
match
he
day
wasn't.
squads. That's what I'm saying, bro. Like, for fuck's sake, man, what
Where
is
the
it
fuck
with
was
our
he?
players?
He was, I swear he was on the bench
This is
against
what
Burnley.
the bench, like, was he even on the bench against Burnley, let
Yeah,
alone
he was. He
Porto?
came on.
Okay, he was. So what happened? Like, what what happened in these three fucking
Where's he
games?
gone?
This is what scares me. Do you see what I mean? Like him, Party, Tomiyasu, Jesus, Zinchenko. These are the 5 to 6 players that he's talking about when Arteta's like, yeah, there's 5 or 6 that I expect to see a lot more from still this season because we basically just not fucking seen them.
Yeah.
Like it's
Do you
just,
think
oh
like
my.
Vieira was obviously back in the squad? Could you see him
I would
getting a look?
love to see him play. I feel like we've not seen much of him at all this season. Like if you actually look at his Prem minutes this season, is less than 90 minutes, I think. So even
Is
though
it?
we thought he had a better season this season than last, he just looked good in those very few moments we saw him. Then he's been out for
In
like
sub
most of the
appearances.
season. So I
Okay.
really do hope. I want him back because I feel like we need as much um, like just diversity in player profiles available to us
Yeah.
so that we can try different tactics against different opponents. We can, like be more unpredictable, right? That's the thing we've been missing all year. And I think we brought some unpredictability back when we went into this new team, which we've rolled out for the last 3 games. But now it's almost like after Newcastle watched the tapes of what Porto did, I just feel if we do the exact same thing again, it's just like where is the unpredictability in that? So I feel like something
Interesting.
has to be tweaked. I just feel
So,
I feel like we've hit that predictability right again after 3-4 games where we hadn't, and we looked incredible and
See, that's
flew off to a start in 2024, and then bang, now we've hit the predictability section again.
that's where I disagree. To be fair, I think Porto had a specific game plan that in their home environment they were able to execute. I think Newcastle will try to replicate it, but won't be able to the same extent. And I still think the positional rotation of Odegaard or White dropping in next to Rice, I think that will work and confuse them and drag them out of position in certain zones. So for what it's worth, if we rolled out the same team, same system, I think it works. But again, that's what I'm saying. I think it's a system that suits what I think we'll be up against Newcastle, not Porto away sort of thing. But yeah, we'll. What was your final prediction then before we move on?
So my
to
final prediction would be. I'm just looking at what Pontus said in the chat. I'm going to read it out for the podcast.
God,
This puts
and
me off my
shout
final.
out a few of the guys.
Yeah, shout out. So good afternoon, Uncle Mike. Good to see you, buddy. Afternoon, lads. We've got Pontus Johansson. Hello, lads. Good to see you. So Pontus was saying on Jorginho, he is suffering from that foot issue still, I think. So it probably isn't ready to start games, and would explain Wednesday. So yeah, so if he's in that situation still, then that kind of throws my idea of Jorginho with Havertz up top and Trossard benched.
Yeah, that's good to know. Smith Rowe went to sweet heaven.
I want revenge on
I've
these
never
two
heard of
shit houses.
I've never heard of either of them, sweet or heaven, from the academy.
I know, like our bench was looking pretty funny. It was just we were really running thin. Like when Arteta said I have a thin squad, everyone questioned him.
Hey, can I just get something off my chest? Like everyone's fucking lubing up for Liverpool's injuries, right? And I get it. Like, but we've been without so many first choice people, like Timber all season, Partey all season. Two of them are first teamers. We had no Jesus, our number 9, for how long? Zinchenko in periods has been out. At the same period, Timber, Zinchenko, and Tomiyasu have been unavailable. That's your first 3 choice left back. Kivio is the 4th choice left back. Smith Rowe's been unavailable. Vieira's been unavailable. I know they're not first teamers, but they have a knock-on impact on the load that Odegaard has to take on Havertz. Like in the defensive area, no Tomiyasu means a knock-on impact on Saliba. White, like
it's huge, right?
Why do we not get the set? I don't understand. Like
when we had injuries last year, we bottled the league. When everyone else has injuries this year, they have injuries.
If Liverpool
whether
don't
it's
win the
United,
league this
Liverpool, Tottenham, like
if Liverpool don't win the league this year, it will be because of injuries, not because they bottled it. And I'm like, where?
it's
fucking,
so unfair.
I know I shouldn't let it
Eddie
get me,
Howe,
but
by
it
the
does.
way, just on this note,
He's a
got the
cunt
Newcastle
in himself.
So he's come out this morning in his presser. He's such a liar as well, but he's been like that since his Bournemouth days with injury news. He's such a liar. But he said this, so he said, with our experience of the Champions League, we found that it wasn't a problem playing midweek as long as we had a squad available to rotate to keep players fresh. Arsenal have players to do that, so no doubt it won't affect their performance.
He's such a cunt.
I just thought I'd add that after you just
didn't
said
they
about
get fucking
injuries
get knocked out as well?
With sweet heaven, they came 4th in their fucking group.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it had no impact to them. That's why they came 4th.
Yeah,
and that's why they're like bottom, like mid-table almost in the league. Okay.
I think he's such a.
I need to get revenge on them, man. Like Mike is right in the chat. Like, how is he coming out and saying that about we have the squad when we got sweet heaven on the fucking bench? Like,
literally,
Jesus, man.
It'll be interesting to see what they do lineup wise though, because their lineup in the 2-2 draw against Bournemouth was Dubravka in goal, back 4 of Trippier, Schär, Botman, and Byrne. Midfield 3 of Bruno Guimaraes, Longstaff, and Miley, who's been impressive, and then front 3 was Barnes, Gordon, and Almiron. And I've seen Isaac supposedly back in training. Shah obviously had a knock and went off injured, but apparently he might be back. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. But do you know what? There is a world in which I would not be surprised if they came to us and played a back 5 and just really tried to. Sorry, I made a mistake. Schär didn't go off. I just completely made that up.
But he is injured, right? I think he has some kind of doubts.
Yeah, but yeah, supposedly he should be fine. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they came with a back 5, and really tried to kind of block out those half spaces. And that's why systematically, I think having that White Odegaard rotation and who goes into the double pivot, who then holds the width, it allows either Saka, Odegaard to operate in the half space, either Saka or White to be wide, depending on where Odegaard is. I think that positional rotation could still confuse Newcastle. I don't think they'll be able to execute exactly the same way that Porto did. And also the fluidity, right? Like Champions League games are refereed differently compared to the Prem. So
Yeah, I think that was my. Obviously, I don't want to talk about the Porto game, but like the one thing that I felt disappointed in is that we didn't adapt to what was considered a
same.
foul early enough. Like it was very clear early on that like we were going to be getting called fouls for people like falling over when the fucking wind blows. So at that stage, we should have maybe tried to change something. Like I don't know how we thought it would be any different, but when the referee obliges, the players continue. And
You're right,
I
though.
think
They didn't adapt.
they didn't. We didn't adapt. And you know what? This takes me back to last time. Do you remember there was like the penalty we didn't get against Newcastle when they dashed Jesus down, and like there
Mm-hmm.
was a few incidents in that game. There was the red card that they didn't get against us as well, and that 0-0. So I just have scars of that game with Newcastle because I feel like they were, as you say, the original team that came after this new look Arsenal and just
And they,
completely shut down anything. Like
well,
they
I
showed a
think it's
blueprint of how to frustrate us.
yeah, and it's more. They were the first team to come and like just not even try play football. Like this fucking football team, Newcastle does not attempt to play football when they come to the Emirates, and I think that's the thing. Like I can say that on this channel. I've had to go on Planet FPL, and obviously I have to be fucking neutral and
You got to
give
be
them
like, yeah, you
credit.
got to
But
make sure you give every team credit.
yeah,
Yeah,
like
of course.
these pricks will not attempt to play football. They're going to try and fucking come and play rugby and interrupt the flow and stuff. And I just don't think they'll get away with it. And you asked me earlier, like, can I give you a reason to feel confident? Yeah,
Yeah.
I do. I think we'll bounce back. I really believe we'll bounce back. I don't
Hmm.
think it'll be a 4-5-6-0, but I think we will slap our dick on these pricks. I think we will humble them. Like
Hopefully, it's like that Chelsea game where we didn't win by a mad margin, but they got absolutely played out the park. Like every metric was just like
with
Chelsea died that day. I think it was like the 2-0 maybe against them or 1-0. I think it was just 1-0 against Chelsea last season, but like we
oh
absolutely
yeah,
dominated
it was
them. Like,
domination. Yeah, we
yeah,
scored
yeah,
from a corner, but yeah,
yeah, but like overall, even though it was just 1-0, like that game, it looked like they died. So that's
yeah,
what I want. Like, I don't mind if it's just we managed to beat Newcastle and go back to winning ways with a goal, but I just want to embarrass them. Like, I want to make them look like they're just not hungry.
yeah. And that's
I
what
hope we
even
can do it.
tactically and like the emotion of the game. I think I said I'm doing a pub crawl all day, right? I'm gonna
Mm.
be lubed up with alcohol and stuff. I think a lot of Arsenal fans. Well, I think the atmosphere will be hot. I think the atmosphere is going to be full of Arsenal fans trying to get behind the team
Floodlights on a Saturday night.
and
Yeah, like
pick up
I'm
this team.
ready.
Like they're going to need us. And I think even footballing wise, I just think it will be a case of we're in our home again, and it'll be a bit of a confidence thing for the team. Like play the football they've been playing for the last few weeks, and I think with that in mind, I think there'll be overloads galore in this game where Newcastle won't be able to keep up. I don't think we'll give them many chances. If they do get one, I think it will be like the odd shithouse game
Mm.
goal or something. And that's been the pattern this season. We don't give up many high quality chances in the league, and I think it will be the same again. I'm going 2-0 home win, and I really think it will be like bounce back. I think it'll be a first nervy like 15, 20 minutes, but then once we get in our flow, I think we'll get a goal and win it comfortably. 2-0 for me. What about you?
I think that out of every game this weekend in the Premier League, this is the game that's most likely to have 3 goals in it. I think it's the most
Okay.
one-sided tie in the league, even more than
Really?
like Wolves at home to Sheffield
And Man
United.
United,
And
Fulham with no
yeah,
Pelini.
yeah, Man United, Hoyland's now injured as well for
I've just
three
seen that
weeks.
actually.
Yeah, yeah. So I think that means Anthony gets back in. But for
Okay, I'm
us,
not as
I honestly,
confident
I'm going
as you
three
in that
nil.
sense, to be fair.
Yeah, I'm going to go
Fair play.
3-0. I just feel like everything in the underlying metrics, beside that Porto game, if you just look at the league games in 2024, I just feel like I know that they're an annoying team for us and they disrupt our style, but we're gonna want like revenge, like for last year, for the year
Yep.
before when we missed out top
And
four.
their fans are
The-
so fucking gobby as well.
yeah, so I think like it's just like years worth of revenge that these players need to give back, and I'm hoping that the humbling in the midweek is further fuel for fire to go
Yeah.
and take the British version of Porto out.
Nice one. All right. Well, fingers crossed you're right. And yeah, thanks guys for tuning in. Obviously, if you're watching this live, please drop the stream a like and hit the subscribe button so you catch more of our content. And if you're listening on podcast, please give us a review because the algorithm's changed and that helps us a lot. But we'll be back together next week to do the review of this game at some point. We'll obviously be sat together on Saturday, so yeah, we'll try to get some photos and stuff. But yeah,
Yeah,
just
let's
need
get
to.
some tweets out for everyone.
Yeah, Saturday is just about just bounce back, and I know we're talking about how we want to see the performance, but I think it's just get the result on Saturday, put Wednesday behind us, and we go again. Thanks, everyone. Up the
100%.
Arsenal.
Come on, you Gunners.